Blizzard just unveiled how Midnight's player housing system is going to work, and it came as a massive surprise. Most of us, I think, expected some kind of grid-based system, and a lot of people feared it would just be like Garrisons all over again, where you get a few big prefabs, maybe a little bit of customization as a treat, but really nothing that's, well, that good. No. Actually, look at this. This is what you'd expect from a new Sims game or something like Paralives, you know, one of its like indie competitors. Not something done in World of Warcraft, a bundle of 20-plus-year-old spaghetti code. But credit to Blizzard, they've done it. This is absolutely shaping up to be one of the best MMO housing systems that there is. And hey, also, player dies. Yes, we are seeing dies coming into the game, not yet for armor, but we do know basically what a die system would look like. Now here's something in my mind. Roller coasters, epic universe. I'm going to be traveling to America soon, right? And if it's anything like the last time I went to the States, today's sponsor, NordVPN, will help me save a bunch of money. So here's how. Airline, car rental, and loads of other things have got dynamic pricing that is based on where you are located. So clear your browser cookies, fire up Nord, change your location, and often you'll be able to find lower prices. And if you go to nordvpn.com/Bellular Warcraft, you'll get 4 months for free on a 2-year plan backed by their 30-day money-back guarantee. And well, they've saved me quite a bit more than they cost, which is pretty sweet. And that's just one use, of course. Browsing the web as if you're anywhere and securely means bypassing region-locked content. And with Nord, it means even more security, like with their Threat Protection Pro suite of features, which, unlike other basic DNS filtering solutions, are covering far more threats like malware, phishing, scams, and quite a few other things as well. So it just keeps you safe. It's super easy to use on desktop, super easy in mobile. I mean, shockingly easy in mobile, actually. And best of all, you get 4 months for free with a 2-year plan at nordvpn.com/Bellular Warcraft. And a big thanks to them for their years of support. To begin, just look at the sheer amount of freedom that's here. It's honestly less house editor, and it's more like you're moving stuff around in Unreal or some advanced like level editor. And one of the big narratives around player housing is that if WoW is to do it, it needs to defeat its major competitor, Final Fantasy XIV. Now, of course, WoW's not going to have lotteries and all that BS that the FF people very much don't like. But actually, this shows that whoever is building this system knows exactly how to unseat FF14, because they are letting you go wild in a way that game doesn't. Well, its community around player housing does, but you know what I mean, game systems. So take a look at this. No collision, completely free rotation, free floating items, and even scaling things stupidly big or small. Whenever I say this looks like you're using the Unity or Unreal editor, like, yeah, basically it is kind of like that. Now, yes, you can make really stupid things, and their examples do look a bit silly, but they've done that to show basically what limits you don't have in this. As an example, you can do things like use items embedded in floors and walls to create different shapes. That is a whole art form in the right hands. I think back to what people did by glitching the Halo 3 Forge. And Blizzard's own screenshot is a great example here. You could say, put the bookshelf deeper into the wall, and it makes this really nice flat surface. Or in this screenshot, where they combine a floating table and a barrel to make a unique looking shelf. And that is what excites me. You see, there's one version of this system where, yeah, you're just unlocking a bunch of things and you plop them in a little grid and that's that. But this is one where actually the system itself is a toy. I enjoy playing Minecraft, I enjoy building in Minecraft, and I feel like some of that creativity will happen here. But of course it would be limited if we all had some tiny sized apartment. No, Blizzard could have been real specific about house size, but they've actually just decided to go full TARDIS rules, right? So any size of house exterior can match any interior. Here's actually a bird's eye view that shows a massive sphere with some internal walls being placed to break it up. Now, when you look at the UI details, we also get some clues. So obviously this is just internal testing now, but it does appear that there's a room limit of 10. 10 rooms is quite a lot for a house, right? So that's pretty good. We also have a floor number. So while Blizzard didn't show us stairs or anything like that, it does seem we can have lots of rooms and also different floors. So yes, if you want a big mansion, you can pretty much do that. But what if you want parts of your mansion to be the right color? Well, that's why we got to talk about dyes. Blizzard casually dropped that they've now got a dyeing technology. It's kind of fun. This is something that Keyboard Turner, as one example, brought up ages ago, looking at how some chairs were set up in the files. But now it's not just speculation, it's actually confirmed. Newer assets for housing will be completely dyeable. Now, there are also fixed color legacy assets, That basically just sounds like Blizzard being able to put whatever assets they've already made into this system, but basically, when they're building new things, those will be die friendly. And it's not a simple die system either. The example they show actually has got multiple color channels for this bed, and the die window even shows an absolute ton of colors. It's not a full RGB wheel or something like that, but yeah, it's a lot of customization. Now, this tech also raises a good question. Does this mean that transmog dies could follow? To be honest with you, it's hard to imagine why they wouldn't do that. It might be a feature of, say, a patch in Midnight. I wouldn't expect all player armor to be dyeable because, well, it would be a tangent. I won't do it, but I think they will probably pepper in stuff that can be dyed as time goes on. So far, so good, but there was a major player worry, right? Especially because we only have 2 zones for player housing, so people were worried that they would be limited to just those basic aesthetics to start with, that it would just be orcs and humans. Well, even in just these few screenshots, we can actually see a whole range of decor. We've got fairly standard tables and human furniture, but there's also lots of Blood Elf decor as well. Here's a goblin-looking heart sofa, there's a Christmas tree, there's some sort of Kultiran style like pub stuff, which is kind of neat. But what we really need to do is look at the bits that they're not showing off. So in these videos, we can see little bits of the UI that are open. Now, these are not the best quality, but we can clearly see a very long scroll bar and 6 individual categories for things, as well as filters and a search bar. You only build those things if you're making this system so it can handle a lot of stuff. And of course it would have to. World of Warcraft has got 20 years of zones that are full of assets from tons of different styles that Blizzard can throw into this system. Honestly, the hardest part of building a house might actually be the decision paralysis of having too many options. We can also spy something neat, an object limit. And the object limit here is 10,000. And just over 500 are being used. Now, obviously, Blizzard will have to limit us in some way. I imagine the 10,000 limit is for testing. But if what we get is anywhere close to that, there'll be near infinite possibilities for, everyone but the craziest who are pushing the boundaries of this system. So, unless that's an arbitrary testing value, it basically seems like their server tech or whatever's going on with the client is getting upgrades to handle such a giant quantity of objects. So far, it's all real promising, but it kind of means nothing if it's not easy to use and you feel like doing your player house in WoW is basically like you're opening up a professional bit of software. That's actually where I'm quite impressed. So they've got snap placement and it looks really, really good, right? So I'm pretty happy about that. And there is no big red highlight blocking them from, say, putting the window on a fireplace. Now, it may just be the angle, but it even looks like it's warped a little bit to match the curve. That's neat. And then there's the parent demo, and it's one of those things, I could explain it, but honestly, the easiest way is to just show you it in action. That's really good. That's really good. Because, man, you see in very static systems where none of that stuff is parented and you want to move your table and then you've got to move every single thing on that table to where you want it? No, here you just move the table. Thank God, that is so much better than honestly what I kind of expected. And that's the theme. This is more than I expected. And what I'm trying to get across here is that there are small things that they've got right. It's almost like the people working in this project are used to placing assets in a game engine and knowing what things frustrate them at work, they've basically just decided to go and make the player housing solve those frustrations. But what if I told you that player housing wasn't necessarily just player housing? This honestly looks more like a level editor than a game feature, and you know what that means. In a way, all bets are off. Because decor can be scaled, because it can float, but still have collision, that's going to mean people can build jumping puzzles, parkour levels, right? So in a way, it's not just player housing, it's also player-generated content. It almost brings me back to the days of Habbo Hotel. So I'm definitely wondering, maybe if you put in a few custom add-ons too, what the hell could people cook up with a system like this? Okay, so we've covered what Blizzard said. Let's talk about what they didn't say. The elephant in the room is in fact, outside the room. It's outside the house. The thing they did not show off was exteriors. So if insides of houses look like this, then, well, what's the outside going to look like? Is it going to be just as free-form? If so, then the implications are honestly massive for neighborhoods. One of my guildies brought up a real good point. If houses are bigger in the inside, that means that they've got to be instanced in some way, right? And that essentially means they can use all of that seamless loading tech from initially Zarlet Cavern, but more recently from Delve Doors, to basically let you walk into houses, but, you know, through kind of like a door instead of a loading screen. If they're able to pull that off, that would be very, very nice. They also suggested some real pointed questions like earning stuff, transmog, mounts, and professions. Blizzard wouldn't write these things down in a blog post if they didn't want us to think about them. They're obviously doing some expectation setting. So earning stuff is simple. They could just give us tons of things up front, then they could connect things to achievements, to the trading post, some to the cash shop, or, well, really whatever they want. As an example, unlocking a full Vindicar set of decor for completing the Argus meta achievement, maybe clearing Black Temple and time walking to get some of those comfy cushions from the Den of Mortal Delights. I'm pretty sure people will be making their own Dens of Mortal Delights anyway with this system, if FF14 is anything to go by. You disgusting people. Anyway, then transmogs and mounts in patch 11.1.5, we actually noticed something that's not exactly new, but it did just strike a little different and a little recent, and it's basically this. Right beside the entrance to Horrific Visions, the rewards are actually out in the world by the vendor. You can see full armor sets just standing there in poses, and the corruption of the Aspects mount is just having a sleep nearby. Now, for the trading post, they've been setting transmogs out on mannequins. So if Blizzard can do this, surely we'll be able to do this. Maybe there's a real cool transmog set that you're doing some content. Well, maybe you can plop down a mannequin and display your armor, which is pretty neat. Maybe imagine having your favorite mounts napping in your garden. All pretty cool. And then there's the last point, professions. And that got everyone on the same wavelength. No profession properly works with wood. We need to do something with wood. It's a long shot, but on top of the obvious things like tailoring, leatherworking, and blacksmithing, Blizzard, this is the perfect opportunity to add wood chopping and carpentry. And seriously, if RuneScape wood chopping's anything to go by, you'll basically just 5x your daily active users because that shit's addictive. And I don't bring this up randomly because crafting has been a little quiet this expansion, so maybe they've got some plans in the works for the future. Really, at this point, it does feel like anything could happen. And I've got to say, genuinely, this blew my expectations out of the water. Especially because they are willing to let you make an absolute piece of shit. Yes, because, you know, you can scale things to be ridiculous. So many game designers would think, oh my god, if we let the players scale things, then all of their player houses will look terrible because scale is actually pretty challenging to get right. Devs would be worried about having items clipping each other and all of those things that usually mean we get something on a grid system that's very predictable, that doesn't really have as much player expression, but no, here it's actually way more. That has blown my expectations out of the water. Blizzard, if you land this feature, it'll be quite the we're so back moment. I know not for everyone, but certainly for me, because hey, I love raiding, I love all that stuff, but if I can build some cool shit in World of Warcraft, goddamn right, I'm going to go and build it. Pretty damn hype, but the good news is it's not the only thing that they are building. This next feature will absolutely be in a better state by the time midnight hits, but well, we're actually getting the new version of Blizzard's default UI very soon indeed, and you can find out more about that in this video.